got a climb like now, then you've got the fast descents, tricky little climbs along the way, and then you've got this really tough finish as well. So you cannot afford to have any moment of not paying attention.
No, you certainly can't, and it's one of those days where you need to save a lot of energy because of this final steep climb. It's all about unleashing as much energy as you have left in you, and it's sort of suited to a different type of finish here compared to yesterday, maybe. Although I hope we'll see Chris Froome up there challenging for the win today. Looking at Koenigo and Stein de Volder. Koenigo in the pink and blue here on the front. Obviously, two of the stronger climbers. Although I'd say Koenigo is obviously the better climber out of the lot of them. But if you start looking at the average gradient on this climb, and just to put it into context, we're not actually far off what the Alpe d'Huez is in terms of average gradient. So it's a very, very tough climb indeed.
The face on this man shows just how tough this climb is. Stein de Volder rocking and rolling a little bit, a pro since 2001, and of course a couple of times a national champion. But Damiano Cunego, the little prince, the winner of the Giro d'Italia previously, we gave him a little bit of a hard time yesterday because he just wasn't on form. We maybe expect him to be a rider who would challenge in a race like Tirreno-Adriatico, and the Italian fans absolutely love him. When we introduce him on the stage in races like Strada Bianca and the Giro d'Italia, the crowd go absolutely nuts. They still love him, and now he looks like he's thought, do you know what, maybe I had a talking to last night, I'm going to go out and show you today.
Well, he's got to try something, and you know, I think this is probably where he's best suited nowadays. He's going on these kind of breakaways, 2 minutes and 50 seconds down to the main peloton. You know, he should be able to climb and hold on to that, but the question is then, is he going to be able to hold on until they get into towards Chieti? And obviously, has he got enough energy left to go up that final steep climb? Because by the time the peloton gets there, you know, the pace will be incredibly high going into the bottom part of that climb.
Just to bring you up to date on where Cunego is on the general classification, 38th overall, 6 minutes and 35 seconds down on the leader Kwiatkowski. So he's been given his day, and right now there's no possibility of him taking the Maglia Azzurra, so he can just go out, he can ride, he can try and take a great stage win for the Italians today. And he certainly looks like he is riding very, very strongly, and probably thinking ahead to the classics, probably thinking, right, this is hilly terrain, I can think about, and it's interesting that we're in hilly terrain and you've got the likes of Flescher, De Volder and Cunego, who will be challenging in races like Flanders. Cunego could win a race, of course, like Flèche-Wallonne, and today might be the day to just hone the form.
Well, you know, the Tirreno-Adriatico is one of those races where you tend to do an awful lot of work to get yourself ready for the classics. You know, I use Tirreno-Adriatico many times to get myself into the right shape. You know, we got Milan-San Remo coming up next week, and that's another one which is ideal preparation for, you know, Paris-Roubaix, Tour of Flanders, Ghent-Wevelgem and all these races, because, you know, especially if you get a good workout done in Tirreno, you recover a little bit and then you hit Milan-San Remo. As long as you finish Milan-San Remo, you get a 300k race in your legs plus the 10 odd kilometers of neutral at the start of Milan-San Remo, which makes it a monster of a day. So by the time you hit the classics, then, you know, Tour of Flanders 270k, Paris-Roubaix 265. You know, you're thinking that's actually quite short, because the other weekend you did 310k, and it makes such a big difference on how you feel on the bike. If you only done stages of 220, 230, doing the extra 40, 50k to get yourself to the length of classics, it's a major change, and you know, you always feel like you're sort of running out of steam a little bit. So these couple of races are important.
Alex Dowsett in the Movistar kit, the British rider, alongside Andy Schleck, wiping the sweat out of his eyes, going through total suffering right now, Andy Schleck, and trying to get himself back on form. 49 kilometres remain then, as we look here at the riders making their way up the second major climb of the day. the Passo Lanciano before they descend down to the finish. Damiano Cunego is producing a great performance today. 51 seconds now the advantage, so he is slowly but surely building a lead which is going to start to hit a minute very shortly, and then that is the sort of advantage that will be very useful for him on this descent, and will be very difficult for the rest of the riders to follow. However, I don't know about you, but it doesn't look like a minute to me.
Well, it doesn't look like a minute, but it's because the road is that steep. It does take you that long time to actually travel, you know, a couple of 100 meters. So I think, like I said before, as long as the Volta is within a minute to just over a minute, maybe by the time they go over the top of this climb, he should be capable of getting himself back on. And you know, it looks like Michael Scher and Fletcher is coming. They're coming back onto Agnoli and Belkov, and you know, that could also be quite a strong formation if they get down onto the flat parts of the in-run to Chieti. You know, they got some horsepower to ride with.
Looked like Sebastian Langerfeld was also trying to make his way back onto the rear wheel of the chasing group. And then, interestingly, you will end up with two riders who both won Het Nieuwsblad, Juan Antonio Flecha and Sebastian Langerfeld, joining together as we approach. We've already had that race, but as we approach these classic times. Damiano Cunego approaching 5 hours of racing. His advantage now clocks over a minute, and the group are at 2 minutes and 58 seconds. 44 kilometers remain. It's taking them an awful long time to get to the top of this mountain, and as Magnus has mentioned already, the top of this climb is at 39.9 kilometers from the finish of today's stage, so he still has another 4k to go before he reaches the top. And as we can see now, the average race speed is dropping all the time. It's now under 38 kilometers an hour. We normally get in the guidebook 35, 37 and 39 kilometers an hour to give us an idea of where the riders will be. And if we're looking at a 37 kilometers an hour average speed, then Damiano Cunego would reach the top of this climb in the next 5 minutes or so. So it looks like the average speed is going to start to drop down under 37k an hour shortly. De Volder just keeping his eyes on the front wheel.
Yeah, just keep on checking his power output and keep on working to his capability, and still going very, very strong for a big man like that. You know, he's not slightly built, that's for sure.
We were talking before we went live today. There's an awful lot of Twitter talk today about speed and power to weight ratio and VAMs and everything like that, and so much is being put because of the way Sky rode the Tour de France last year and the way they rode yesterday about times on climbs and the way that the power to weight ratio affects things. And you've always been quite technical about all that sort of thing, but is it an exact science, or do you have to take that with a little bit of a pinch of salt, bearing in mind this is racing, anything can happen?
Well, anything can happen, but you know, you start off with you know what you know you're capable of putting out for over, say that climb is going to take you an hour, then you know that you're able to hold a certain power output for that period, that amount of time, and if you're going to ride flat out, the best way forward is to just look down at your power meter and don't go above that, and just kind of keeping the average of within your range of capability. But obviously racing is racing, and I think we've got to look at these kind of things with a little bit of a pinch of salt, and you know, just it is still possible to go very fast up a hill. If you start looking at, you know, power to weight, I shouldn't be able to get myself to the top of a climb like this, but I made it work somehow. Yeah. You know, okay, I didn't go as fast as these guys are doing on the front here, but you know, I still made it up there. I had to, if I was going to climb with these guys, I would have to go well above 7 watts per kilo to stay anywhere near them, and that's not physically possible to do. So, you know, hence why I was always out the back. But, you know, they're talking about, you know, like I think Chris Froome yesterday was doing around about 5.9 watts per kilogram. That is completely possible to do. And, you know, if you train hard and work hard and, you know, you're sort of anywhere around about the 6 watts per kilo, that is right, you know, you got to be one of the top guys in the world, no doubt about it.
43 kilometres to go. De Volder now at 1:23. The group is at 3:02. The Sky group have just caught Langerfeld. A little bit of a power bottle there for Stein de Volder from his team car. The commissars keep a close eye on that sort of thing, but that wasn't too bad. Just tell us, Magnus, for those who are new to cycling, they're watching this, they love it, they've got their first bike maybe because they've been inspired. We talked a bit about this yesterday. We see these little black meters on the front of these bikes, and we talk all the time about power meters and this and that gets a little bit technical. So in simple terms then, what does that little box tell you? You know, what sort of data, what sort of information is in there, and then what does a pro do? How do they use it to make themselves better?
To start, the information that you can get is obviously you get the race distance that you have. You know, you basically zero it on the start line on the kilometer zero. So you get your distance, you got your time. Most of the time you have the temperature. You also have your RPMs, your cadence. You know, so how many revolutions you're pedaling per minute. The power, which is measured from the cranks, that gives you a you know, a reading of how hard you're pushing on the pedals, and that is, like I've said, touched on a couple of times here now, that's a very good tool to have when you're riding on the front like this. You know what you can do and how hard you can push yourself, and we use that more in training than in racing, really. But you know, more and more we bring it into the racing as well. So here you guys can see that Damiano Cunego has obviously got a pink and green box on the front of his bike to match the team kit and the colours. But what you can also do when you get back after the race, you plug that into your computer, download everything, you get up and a nice graph of how hard you've been trying. You can get the altitude, you get the speed, average speed. So basically anything that your bike does is recorded in this little box.
And in terms of that little box, you can work out whether you are getting better or whether you're getting tired. And as a pro rider, you can use that data to then tailor your training program with your coach. And there's no reason why someone who's trying to ride 100-mile Sportive couldn't use it either. No,
definitely not. You know, I think it's a great benefit to most people. If you've got a specific goal that you're working towards and you have a coach, then, you know, it's a great tool to see, you know, record your progress and see that, make sure that you're getting better. And it's also, you get what you call a TSS score, a training stress score, which is also good to measure. You see how many TSS points you get throughout a week, and you know, you can kind of keep the cap on that one so you don't overtrain yourself. So if you're scoring too much in training, then you know you've got to back off. You might need to back off a little bit earlier than what your training program was set out to do, but to keep yourself so you don't overtrain, you take a rest day a day earlier. It might also be that, you know, your body is recovering extremely well during this particular period, which means you might be able to push it a little bit more. So you're keeping yourself on that very, very thin red line between overtraining and undertraining. And it's a difficult balance to have unless you've got all this technology available to you.
Damiano Cunego has just passed the 2-kilometre to-go point to the top of this mountain, and his advantage has grown again. 1:44, and the gap is at 3 minutes and 6 seconds to the peloton led by Sky.
Appeal of cycling's longest one-day race sees Mark Cavendish once again set his sights on victory in the first monument of the season.
That's magnificent riding.
The prestigious Milan-San Remo. Next Sunday, 1:30 p.m, live on British Eurosport HD.
weather is frightening. The thunder and lightning seem to be having their way. But as far as I'm concerned, it's a lovely day.
Great day's racing ahead, James.
Already got my pick, Stan.
What, already?
Been studying all morning.
Steady on, Rain Man! You want to let the horse hit the ice first? Get a feel for the beast.
Go easy, horse whisperer. It's all about getting a feel for their form.
Well, my money, as you're asking, is on Homeboy in the 235.
On average, StanJames.com had the best overall prices at last year's Cheltenham Festival. Stan, James, who are you with?
This winter, join the thousands of homes choosing TV from TalkTalk with unlimited broadband and calls and a free YouView box. Pause, record and rewind all your favourite Freeview channels and watch shows you've missed with 7-day catch-up. Personalise your package by adding pay-as-you-go extras like Sky Sports, Sky Movies and great entertainment boosts with only a 30-day commitment. So you only pay for what you want to watch. Get all this and much more for a tiny $15.50 a month, plus $14.95 monthly line rental. So, for great value TV, broadband and calls, just make one call and we'll do the rest. Visit talktalk.co.uk or call 0800 542 7986. TalkTalk, a brighter home for everyone.
42 kilometres remaining on today's stage. Stage 5 of Tirreno-Adriatico over the difficult climbs. We're on the Passo Lianciano, taking us to 1,306 metres above sea level. We're starting to hit some of the snow-lined areas on this climb. Not anything like yesterday's stage, but actually we're only, about 100 metres above sea level lower when we crest the top of this climb than we were yesterday. Cunego working really strongly here. He's been on the attack most of today. The winner previously of the Giro d'Italia, and the fans love cheering him on as he makes his way around now the switchback to the top of the climb.
Yeah, Cunego is actually riding a very equal pace to what Team Sky are doing on the front of the peloton, and you know, to do that on your own like this is certainly a strong ride, especially seeing as he's been in this breakaway since one of the first kilometres of the day. The Volta, he's definitely losing his pace a little bit. It's down to minute 53 off the back of Cunego, and I think he'll probably get swallowed up by the peloton before you hit the top of this climb.
We look back in the Palmares, the list of wins of Damiano Cunego, and it's been a little while since he won anything major. I mean, he had no major wins last season. The year before, he won the odd stage of things here and there, but he won a stage of the Tour of Romandy, and he was second in the Tour of Switzerland. Before that, you have to go back really to the sort of 2008 time, and that's when he had his last really big win. He won a stage of the Vuelta in 2009, but in 2008 he won Lombardy. So he has had a really lean time, lots and lots of top 10 places. So it'd be great to see him come right back to form.
It would be great to see him come back to form. I think he won Amstel Gold in that year in 2008 as well. So, you know, he's certainly a rider who's got the qualities of being right up there. As we see Dario Cataldo taking over the pace setting after Dombrowski.
Dario Cataldo, an Italian rider who knows this climb very well. He is from here. So he is probably thriving and enjoying being right on the front of the chasing group with Team Sky as they look to limit the advantage of Damiano Cunego. Working strongly now, really tapping out what Magnus has said has been a nice steady rhythm all the way to the top of this mountain on the new machines for the Lamprey squad. They've been on the same bikes for years until this season, where they've switched over. Now we're getting into much more snow-lined roads.
Yeah, it's interesting to see when teams change equipment and so on. And I think, you know, Lampre have been with Villiers for such a long period of time, and then now finally that they've made the move. And you know, sometimes that can actually spring a bit of a new life into a rider, maybe like Cunego, who's been with Lampre since 2005, I think, around about that time. Yeah. And you know, it can just change the feel that you get on the bike, and you know, maybe it's something that he's enjoying.
Well, certainly, you know, maybe the fact that he can get a new bike, he can talk about it, he can learn. Maybe the company is really keen to invest a little bit more than another company, and that way he might get a bike that he really likes. They might make a few tweaks for him because they see him as the champion of the team, and it can make a big difference. I know they were in Mallorca a few weeks ago when I was there with one of the small British teams, the Madison Genesis team, and they were in the same hotel, and they had all the press, so many people there. They had bike tests going on every day. They had the team bike there, so I got the chance to have a little look at it. So they were putting a massive amount of resource. They had so many people there, they had to have their own restaurant.
Yeah, but I mean, I know exactly what it's like when you get one of the big companies, and Merida is actually one of the bigger bike companies out there in the world today, and the resources that they have is you know, incredible. So no doubt, you know, if they decided they're going to sponsor a team of this size and this caliber, you know, they will throw everything but the kitchen sink at it. And you know, I think you're looking at, you know, a great sort of partnership developing going forward here.
It is interesting you say that Merida is one of the biggest bike manufacturers in the world, and those of us watching racing like this who don't come from a mountain bike background and have purely been focused on the road probably may never have heard of them, but in the mountain bike world and everything else, they are huge.
They are a really big company, and you know, the bikes that they make are very good, but obviously as Stein de Volder gets overtaken by Fletcher and Shah, going up towards the final sort of 500-600 meters of this climb. But I think for a company like Merida to go in and sponsor a team like this, what they want is the input from riders like Cunego, Petacchi, Pozzato, to develop their bikes and make them even better than what they are. And with that, you know, no doubt Cunego will come back from Tirreno-Adriatico and say, look, this bike feels great, but we need to change this and this and this. Within a couple of weeks, there will be a new bike for Cunego there with those changes made, and you know, you'll see some incredible development going on over the next 12 to 18 months, I believe.
Damiano Cunego crests the top of the second major climb of the day, the Passo Lanciano, with 39.9 kilometers remaining. His advantage on the next group of riders, and here we are Juan Antonio Fletcher in the blue and yellow and Michael Shah in the red and black of BMC. His advantage is somewhere hovering around about the 2-minute mark, but we'll get proper confirmation once they go over the top of the climb. The snow left and right looks like the gap is dropping, and Sky on the front of the peloton are mopping everyone up.
Yeah, they certainly are. What they want to be a little bit careful of now is on the first part of the descent with the snow-lined roads here. Coming into some of the corners, you want to make sure that you're not hitting them too hot because of, you know, melt water coming from the snow drifting across the road, and it's very easy that you actually just going in a little bit too fast into a corner, and then you know, you end up sliding off because of a damp patch on the road. So Cunego will need to take a little bit of care, and the same thing with all the rest of the guys coming behind him.
A few riders trying to hold on to the top of this mountain. I just noticed Samuel Sanchez, the Olympic champion, I think from that helicopter shot, was looking like he was being dropped. On the back of the group there, number 114 is Juan Jose Cobo, a former winner of the Vuelta a España. 39 kilometers now remain as the riders take on some food. They grab the musette bags, they sling them over their shoulders, they take whatever they want out of them, and then they get rid of them. But Sky are really driving on at the front here, aren't they? Cataldo is happy to be in his home area. The gap is 157 at the top of the mountain.
Yeah, Sky have brought back a minute in the last sort of kilometre and a half on Koenigo going over the top here, but some nice ski slopes up on the top of this mountain as well.
Well, plenty of skiing always on Eurosport as well. As we look there on the people going down on their snowboards and their skis, enjoying the winter conditions, whilst these riders clad in lycra go over the top and then start a very cold descent down to the base of the final climb of the day. The riders will be facing Chieti. Here is Damiano Cunego. And as Magnus has mentioned, you have to be so careful in these corners because you can hit any little bit of icy water and then you have a real major problem. So these skiers trying to get down, I think, to get to the roads maybe and watch the racing. Damiano Cunego takes the mountain sprint, 5 points to him. Dario Cataldo on his home roads, 3 points. And Sergio Henao, another rider from Team Sky, no surprises there. He takes 2 points. Right, here we are on board the motorbike following the former winner of the Giro d'Italia, Damiano Cunego. Amazing that he has got no arm warmers on. He hasn't even put a gilet or a rain cape or anything on to keep himself warm. He may have stuffed a jersey up his front just to keep the cold off his chest, but clearly he is set on trying to stay away to the finish.
Yeah, you haven't really got the time to sort of mess about with getting your raincoats on and things like that. If you're trying to stay away from a charging peloton like the one we're seeing here, you need to just get going. Most of the time you have a few people standing on the top of a mountain like that, just as you crest the top, handing out newspapers. You grab a newspaper, you shove that up underneath your jersey on your chest, and that keeps the cold air from hitting your chest. And that's how you actually stay reasonably warm with that. And obviously, once you get down to the bottom, you can just take that one out and put it on the side of the road by, most of the time we do that next to sort of spectators, so they pick up all the litter.
And they take them home and they stay as a souvenir for the next 20 years.
Exactly.
So Gazzetta dello Sport, not just a sponsor of the Giro d'Italia, but also being put to very good use at the top of the mountain. The motorbike trying to stay away from the riders from Sky. Oh, that was an interesting shot, wasn't it? As the cameraman realised they were going to have to get very quickly out the way.
Well, the motorbikes actually do struggle to stay away from the bike riders. If it gets really twisty and technical, they have to accelerate so hard out of the corners and actually leave a reasonable distance when they start braking, because the speed a bike rider can go through these turns is far faster than what any, well, should I call most motorbikes are capable of doing. Throw, a couple of like Valentino Rossi, he's probably capable of holding on all right, but there's been a few of the top-end MotoGP guys in the back of team cars and watching, some of the guys going down the mountain, and they call us all completely crazy, but there you go.
Well, we're watching a rider who's a very good descender, Damiano Cunego. This descent actually is around about 28 kilometres until we hit flat roads. So he's got a long way downhill. It'll ease off a little bit when we get to around about the 210 kilometre point. Damiano Cunego getting rid of another bottle, and the rest of the peloton all in one long line. We talked yesterday about the different descents. Yesterday's descent was more straight and fast. This one has got constant twists and turns. So yesterday you saw a bunch of riders racing down, changing at the front, keeping the pace high. Today, one long line flat out. Yeah,
it's virtually impossible to overtake on a road like this. The only time you can do it is by actually under-braking someone and cutting them up before you actually head into the turn. You'd see if a team is on the front like this, you try to just sort of stay in the position you are, unless there's someone right in front of you who's losing the gap or creating a gap and not able to follow. Then you try and just dive underneath him in coming into the next corner, and then accelerate hard, and you're back onto the line of riders in front of you. But you can see Cataldo here now coming straight back up to the motorbike. He just needs to get out of the way.
The motorbike camera just a little bit too close here. And Alberto Contador isn't going to be very happy that it is so close, although it's really not assisting them too much. They've got to be able to see the road to see where the lumps and bumps are so they can get through the corners.
Yeah, it's also, so, you know, the apex that a motorbike takes and the apex that a bike rider takes are completely different. So sometimes you end up crossing over as you're going into the next turn, and you know, the motorbike does really hamper your speed going through the turns, and you want to make sure that you see if there's any slight bit of gravel on the road, and you know, if there's any dampness on the road. All these things need to be taken into consideration when you're descending as fast as these guys are right now.
On a race like today then, the riders, do they have any choice of tyres that they're going to use, or generally they're all on the 25 or 23 millimetre tyres for a race like this?
Well, most of the time we do ride 23 millimetre tyres. There are certain days now where, you know, you go a little bit bigger, and also the wheel developments are going towards using a 25 millimetre tyre. So some wheels today actually specifically made for a 25 millimetre tyre. Aerodynamically, they are so much better than the old combination of a 23 millimetre tyre and a narrow kind of rim. So, but the tyres tend to be pretty much the same throughout the year. They never really change. There was a time when we started going with dry and wet tyres, but it becomes really difficult to sort of change. You have to have double setups of wheels and so on and so on, and it didn't really make that big a difference in terms of the grip that you can generate in different conditions.
And just to also talk a little bit about tyres, these are stuck onto the rim, and that does make things a little bit difficult, because to change tyres you've got to re-glue them. They need 2 or 3 layers of glue on them as well to hold at the speeds these guys are going through the corners.
Yeah, they certainly do. It's not an easy process of changing a tubular tyre like most teams are using nowadays. There are some companies that are getting very, very good with their clincher tyres. The open tyres are basically what you call it, you know, a tyre and inner tube. But still, the preferred choice for the professional riders are the tubular tyres, which you do glue onto the rim. But again, you need a bigger setup of wheels to be able to sort of rotate them as they get worn. You need about 24 to 36 hours before you can use a wheel like that again if it's been glued on.
31 kilometres remains on today's stage of Tirreno-Adriatico from Ortona right down on the coast to the town of Chieti, which is right at the top of a really fearsome kicking climb of 1.2 kilometres that really hurts the legs. We've gone over the Foscetta di Palena, we're over the Passo Lanciano, and now we are heading towards the finish. It is Damiano Cunego, a former winner of the Giro d'Italia, Classics winner of Amstel Gold and Liège-Bastogne-Liège, who is on the attack today. He is completely on his own now and being chased by the Skytrain, led by Dario Cataldo, one of the Italian riders who is in this Team Sky squad, looking after the man who won the stage yesterday, Chris Froome, who is trying to take away the Maglia Azzurra, the leader's jersey, from the Polish rider Michał Kwiatkowski. In third place, Vincenzo Nibali, Contador in fourth, Uran is in fifth place, and the man in sixth place is the American rider Chris Horner. Damiano Cunego bidding for victory. 30 kilometres remain now. The gap is 1 minute and 28 seconds. It is dropping a little bit. At the top of the climb it was 1 minute and 57, so he's losing just a little bit of time now. And he's onto some slightly flatter roads. It will start to go a little bit more downhill.
Well, I think the Team Sky guys are going quite quick down this season. I mean, we could see that Chris Froome has moved up one slot. He's got one of his teammates behind him. He's only got 2 riders ahead of him, and that's more of a safety precaution for Chris Froome, that he's got less possibility of things going wrong in front of him on the way down the mountain. As we get down to the flat, you'll probably see things changing around again, so he sits behind his 3 teammates, gives him that little bit more shelter. But as we get down towards the lower sort of slopes of this descent, you know, the Sky Boys will definitely be able to go faster because of the way they can work together, and Cunego will have to really work quite hard. And I was expecting Damiano Cunego to go a little bit faster around down this descent than he has done. He looks a little bit ginger going around some of the corners, not really taking the risks necessary to stay ahead. And a minute 28 ahead of the peloton. I really think he's going to find this difficult to hold on.
There is no doubt, however, that he is giving it full beans as he tries to stay away from the chasing group led by Team Sky. There is another sprint point today. That's going to come up with 4.6 kilometres remaining. It is just in the town of Chieti, just at the base of the climb, not far from where it starts to really... Oh, he gave it a bit through that corner. He had to right the back wheel a little bit.
Yeah, just I think he spotted a manhole cover that he, you know, was a bit of a bump, and he had to sort of make his way around that one rather than going straight across it. Manhole covers are absolutely lethal when you're descending like this. They're so slippery, and you want to make sure you don't hit them.
That was in the little town of Pretoro as he makes his way now onto faster roads again. This is getting a little bit more technical. You'll notice the way that he leans right into the left hand, then goes as far over to the right-hand side as he possibly can, so he accelerates out of the corner, losing very, very little speed. Now let's start to think a little bit about this final climb, because we are going to go on to what is a real climb that suits punchy riders who are able to sprint up short, sharp climbs and take victories. Now, we've mentioned Peter Sagan. He took the victory here last year ahead of his teammate Nibali. There was a little attack going on. Also figuring in the finish was Danilo De Luca. So it gives you the insight as to the sort of rider who might win. Magnus, you've mentioned Rodriguez, but other possible riders, other likely winners today. Can Froome win at the top of this climb?
You wouldn't put it past him. You know, we've seen him go up some steep climbs in the past very quickly indeed. You know, you also got Rigoberto Urán from Team Sky, who's definitely capable of going up in Nibali. You know, certainly, you know, he was up there last year, so we already know that he's capable of going up a climb like this. But there are certainly a serious amount of guys here who will have a go at this final climb.
One rider I think could have a go is Tom Jelter-Slagter, another short, punchy rider, rides for the squad of Blanco. That's the team in the actually perfect timing, blue, white and black there at the back of the group. That's one of his teammates just going into his pockets to just get a little bit of food. That's actually Bauke Mollema, who is on the back of the group. So that sort of rider, Rodriguez, Slagter, Peter Sagan, Damiano Cunego, if he hadn't got on the attack, is the sort of rider you'd expect to power out of this group. Also, Cadel Evans, who's good on these really short, sharp climbs, but today just still looks like he's tired.
It does look like he's tired, but you know, maybe put a bit of a warning sign up there for the man that, you know, we all got a bit surprised of yesterday, Sant'Ambrogio.
He looked very, very good yesterday.
He looked very good yesterday, and you know, short, very light rider as well, who will certainly be sort of suited to this type of a climb. If Cunego hadn't been out the front all day, certainly another rider who would be capable of climbing this. Yeah, we have so many riders here who should be able to contend.
There's around about, what do you think, 30-odd riders in this group. We'll have to pick through who could win. Another rider who might be a possibility is Dan Martin from Garmin, but yes. I'm not sure he's here. He hasn't been right on top form, and you're thinking about someone else as well.
Well, Pozzovivo maybe.
Oh, yeah. Pozzovivo rides for the team of AG Tour Le Mondiale. Another rider, small rider, really punchy, will enjoy this sort of climb, and possibly Greg Van Avermaet as well.
Well, Greg Van Avermaet, if he's still in here, you know, he's changed his riding style so much over the last couple of years, and you know, any rider who's capable of being right up there in the Amstel Gold and Liège-Bastogne-Liège Flèche Wallonne, this is going to suit their kind of that kind of riding style, and you know, maybe it might be worth them having a go on the finish. Contador, certainly.
Yeah. And Nibali, Sagan, Contador, Froome, the riders that we mentioned yesterday. On the wheel of Peter Sagan, take note, Morena Mosa, the winner of Strada Bianca, the rider who now, he's young, but him and Sagan love racing together. Also in the group is Damiano Caruso, so they have a teammate to help them. You think that Cannondale could get another big win today. It's very, very possible. Two really exciting riders. Moser is a very, very exciting bike rider.
Yeah, he certainly is. He loves getting out there, getting stuck into the racing, and you know, like you said, Pete Sagan and Moser together, it's a great combination. You know, Moser for the slightly longer sort of attack earlier on, and just for Pete Sagan to follow the wheels that go after Moser, and you know, maybe pulling off the sprint.
23 kilometres to go. Damiano Cunego on a lone time trial as he tries to hold off the rest of the peloton. Looking here at the Polish rider Kwiatkowski in the blue and white jersey as the race leader of Tirreno-Adriatico, the rider who really rode his first big stage race last year. He rode the Giro d'Italia, and then he was second in the Tour of Poland. Yesterday he tweeted it was the best day of his life on a bike, and without doubt his team, they did an awful lot of work racing in towards the final few kilometres into the base of the mountain. We speculated whether they were riding for Martin or for Kwiatkowski. It turned out to be Kwiatkowski, and he paid it all back. He kept the jersey, and who's to doubt he couldn't win this race, because he's a very, very good time trialist.
Still Cataldo on the front doing the majority of the work, and you'll probably try to find that Cataldo will do as much as is possible now until we hit the final couple of kilometres before we start going up into the town of Chieti. Obviously, we want to leave Henao and Rigoberto Urán as fresh as possible, because you need to keep the pace really quite high going into the bottom of this climb. Otherwise, there's always the likelihood of, you know, guys coming over the top, and Chris Froome then in that case would maybe get sort of stuck in the middle, not really getting out when the attack's starting to happen. So you want to hit the bottom part of this climb as fast as is humanly possible.
Dario Cataldo, of course, is the Italian time trial champion, so he's a rider who's very at home on the flat, just setting a rhythm, keeping a nice pace, and he will just be able to see now Damiano Cunego somewhere up the road, because we're now on longer, straighter, flatter roads, and that really plays into the hands of the chasers. But Sky a little bit more diminished in numbers now. Only 3 riders with Froome, and in fact Cataldo peels off now and lets 2 more riders go through. Cataldo works his way back up to the front again, just having a little bit of a look.
He got a bit of a push from Nibali. They're old teammates. they used to be. So obviously for Nibali, this could be. Well, it's important that Team Sky have as many riders and can take the whole group here now as close to the bottom of Chieti as possible. Otherwise, Nibali might have to start putting a rider or 2 in there to try and help keep the pace up. So. Yeah,
it's all tactics, isn't it? There's all games going on all the time, and one you might be thinking, oh, it's nice he gave me a hand, but there's always a reason why he did.
Yeah, of course there's a reason to why he did, and that's what's so interesting with cycling, is that you have to collaborate with your opponents to get you to within striking distance of the finish, to, you know, play out your tactics and play to your team's advantages.
20 kilometres remain on today's stage as Damiano Cunego here in the pink, green and blue of the Lampre Merida team continues with his lone breakaway. But the conversation's now going on, and the conversations are between Peter Sagan and Moreno Moser. There's a lot going on between these two, chatting about what they're going to do.
Well, you can see there's a nice little hand signal there by Sagan to Moser. He kind of punched the air a little bit, as in you get into the bottom here and you give it one big hit, and we'll see what happens. If anyone follows you, I'll be right behind you, covering everything, and you know, as long as we get up to the sort of slightly flatter part of the finishing climbs, you know, I will be there and I'll take the sprint.
Sagan is always messing around, isn't he? He's a serious bike rider, but he likes to laugh, so he's winding Nibali up a little bit. I just noticed, and interestingly, reinforcements have arrived in the form of Tony Martin for Kwiatkowski. So Tony Martin has got himself over the climbs. We talked about him yesterday, about the way he does climb. Now he is there, and he's sitting just behind Chris Froome with Kwiatkowski. He's the only other rider, I think, from Omega Pharma Quickstep, but he's the right rider to have to put Kwiatkowski in the right position for the base of this climb.
He certainly is. You know, it's going to be needed there coming into the finish, and you probably find that Tony Martin at some point here will start working a little bit with the Sky team to bring the pace up to what they need it to be, and with that, you know, as long as Kwiatkowski is sitting nicely on Chris Froome's wheel, then you know, it'll be a good thing for them. Just check these out.
Peter Sagan going, do you fancy having my calves instead of yours? What do you reckon?
Well, most people will take that, wouldn't they?
He's obviously a rider who likes a good wind-up. Looking here at Damiano Cunego, who's got no interest in what's going on behind him. All he's worried about is, can he get to the base of this climb and win today's stage? 230 kilometres through the tunnel now. His gap drops to 58 seconds, led by Team Sky. It's Sergio Henao who is there at the front. Rigoberto Urán, Chris Froome, Kwiatkowski, Tony Martin.
Just interesting to see as Team Sky send someone back to the team car, pick up the last couple of bottles that you can get now. Obviously, you know, just coming inside this final 20 kilometres, and you know, that's the cut-off point for any feeding from the car.
So Dario Cataldo is the rider who has gone back to the team car as we go over this magnificent bridge right across the valley, and he's going to take the bottles up to the front, hand them out, and then try and hold on to the finish in Chieti, where he comes from. So he hands a bottle to Sergio Henao. The pace is still pretty high. Just noticing other riders are in here. Nibali is obviously still here. His teammate Tirreno is a rider who is with him. The gap grows again to 1 minute and 6 seconds. There's a couple of Vini Fantini riders in here. I'm thinking one of them may well be Rabottini and possibly Oscar Gatto, but we'll have a look if we can. Rabottini is from this area we've mentioned already today, so maybe motivated by being in front of his home crowd.
It wouldn't surprise me if Garzelli's in here as well.
Yeah, Garzelli, who's a former winner of this race. You can see the fluorescent yellow of Vini Fantini just sitting a little bit further back, and still the pace continues. Damiano Cunego now pulling himself right forward in the saddle. Hands on the drops. He hasn't looked round at all since he left Stein de Volder, and he's just keeping that pedal, churning over. In that group now, what do you think? 26, maybe somewhere just under 30 riders. I'm just looking to see if Cadel Evans is back in here. I'm not 100% sure he is.
I don't think he is either. I can see one, and that looks like a taller, rangier fellow figure of Michael Scher.
Yeah, you can always, as you mentioned yesterday, pick out Cadel Evans. He always has yellow shoes to match the fact that he has won the Tour de France. So we can't see him in there at the moment, but the camera shot just a little bit further away than we sometimes get to. Here is Cunego. Starting to hurt now, isn't it? Really good effort from this man.
It's quite interesting watching a rider like Cunego. You know, he's got his hands down on the drops when he's riding alone against the wind like this. We actually went into the wind tunnel with I think it was when I rode with Garmin Slipstream back in the day in 2008, and we found out if the best position for when you're sitting like this is where he's just put his hands now on the top of the brake levers and try and twist your wrists in so you get more like your time trial position, and that is aerodynamically a lot faster than sitting down in the drops.
Interesting little bit of information there, and I guess because if you sit with your hands on the tops, you can turn them over, and the wind will go across the top of your hands.
Yeah, you also make it a little bit narrower than what it would be if we're sitting down in the drops.
Peter Sagan just being followed by his teammate wearing number 43, Damiano Caruso of Cannondale. Behind them is Moreno Moza. Over to their right-hand side, wearing number 111, is the rider Amador, the first Costa Rican winner of a stage of the Giro d'Italia, riding for Movistar. He's in this group. We think Rodriguez is safely here with his faithful lieutenant. Normally Moreno is the rider who is with him, and yesterday helped him out an awful lot. So a lot of big names here. Don't discount Amador winning this stage.
No, certainly not. He's the kind of climber who could get up this hill very well indeed.
15 kilometres remain then of the 230-kilometre stage. This is the 5th stage of Tirreno-Adriatico, the race of the two seas, riding right across Italy to find out who is the final winner of the Maglia Azzurra, the blue jersey, as the race winner when we get to the finish in 2 days' time. Tomorrow, another rolling day with a few climbs along the way, and then we finish on Tuesday with a short time trial, and that's where the likes of Chris Froome and Alberto Contador and the riders who don't mind a time trial will look to try and take the final winner's jersey. There is the story of the stage as we look along the road. Cunego just up in the distance, and his advantage is hovering now, with Team Sky still doing all the work for the rider who won yesterday's stage, Chris Froome.
Looks like there's a couple of riders getting back into the peloton as well. They've obviously pushed their luck a little bit on the decent and managed to bridge the gap and get across and get back into contention for the stage.
Chris Froome, who is the rider who is in second place overall in this race, sitting behind his group yet again as he aims to try and win back-to-back stages in Tirreno-Adriatico today. Back at the team car here is Wouter Poels of Vacances Soleil. Another rider who's been riding strongly in this race so far. He lies 14th overall, and he is 1 minute and 36 seconds down. 6 pro wins since he turned professional in 2007. Getting a last little bit of instruction.
Yeah, it looked like he was handing his radio back into the team car as well, so he's either not working or he feels like he's better off without it.
Study of Dario Cataldo here as Rigoberto Urán. You can always tell him with the long hair flowing out of the helmet. Chris Froome handing something to Dario Cataldo. Look like a gel or something. Still the gap is 1 minute and 1 second. This man has produced a great performance, from our comments of yesterday. He looks very, very good today.
Yeah, he's working hard, that's for sure, and you know, it's an impressive ride for sure, that having been away for such a long period of time and then doing that final climb and still managing to hold the gap reasonably well. He's here with number 81 in the red jersey. There's Joaquím Rodríguez, who we think should be up for a nice little hit at the stage win today.
It's a perfect day for that short rider who pushes a real big punch when it comes to these final climbs. Rodriguez, he's got 2 teammates in here. He's got Belkov and he's got Moreno. So Belkov has just gone back to the team car. He's got a little bit of food and he's making sure that everything is all right with his team leader. This is Niemiec, another Polish rider, wearing number 95 for Lampre. They don't have to do anything. Astana have more riders in here now who've rejoined. Tony Martin, the world time trial champion, sitting just in front of Kwiatkowski in the blue and white jersey as the race leader. So let's run through them quickly. Henao, Cataldo, Urán, Froome, Martin, followed by Kwiatkowski, followed by the team of Astana with Nibali sitting in there. Tirolongo is also there. Alongside them, a couple of Lampre riders in the pink and blue with Niemiec. and they will just disrupt the chase. They won't do anything to help, because Damiano Cunego is the rider in the lead, and this is certainly giving him some pain now. He's looking for any opportunity to get a little bit of assistance if he can. If he can get a little bit of slipstream now and then off a motorbike that's making its way back to get shots of him, then he will.
Tell you what, Contador looks like he's got a good teammate in there as well, in Michael Rogers sitting just in front of him, ready to take Contador into the base of this climb.
Good observation there from you, Magnus, to see Rogers, who last year would have been in the Team Sky kit. He would have been sitting in front of Chris Froome, and who helped significantly in Brad Wiggins winning the Tour de France. So a great teammate for Alberto Contador to have in here. 11 kilometres remain on today's difficult stage in Tirreno-Adriatico as we head towards the sprint point at 4.6 kilometres to go. Cunego looking to try and get the points there if he possibly can.
Yeah, this is now, if he's got anything left in the tank, this is when he needs to start really pushing, because the pace is going to be driven up in the peloton here. You can see the Saxo is starting to move up a little bit closer to the front and alongside the leader's jersey of Kwiatkowski. And when things like that start happening, then, you know, there's a little bit of sort of not panic, but, you know, guys are starting to sort of get worked up and get ready for the finish, and the pace automatically just gets driven up and up and up and up.
The Saxo Bank riders then, if you are trying to pick them out, they are the riders in the blue, white and yellow. At the front is Michael Rogers. Just behind him is, I think, Kreuziger, who won that magnificent stage last year in the Giro d'Italia when he went away in the mountains. And the fans went nuts about that great victory. He was so disappointed to lose a load of time before he took that win. Also in there is Hernandez, and then the rider who's with them is Alberto Contador. 10 kilometres remain now for Damiano Cunego. 57 seconds his advantage on today's stage as he is hunted down by Team Sky. Can he hold on to the finish? That's the big question now. Dario Cataldo with the time trial style of the Italian champion who ran there. Chris Froome, followed by Tony Martin, followed by Kwiatkowski. Moving up on the outside here come the squad of Cannondale in the lime green with Moser and Nibali. The two riders from the Vini Fantini team follow them. On the far side in the blue and yellow are Saxo Bank with Alberto Contador. Is he going to get some seconds back today? There's a 10-second time bonus on the finish line. Contador fourth overall, 30 seconds down after the amount of attacking he did yesterday. It didn't really pay dividends for him, but today it could all change. Thanks to all of you who've tweeted Magnus and I over the last couple of days. So at Magnus Backstead or at Ant McCrossan, and of course you can tweet at Eurosport UK TV as well. We've enjoyed reading your tweets, we always do. And don't forget to visit the Eurosport website for all the news and information on the world of cycling, because during this season Eurosport is going to bring you more cycling than anywhere else. Every single major race pretty much being shown on Eurosport. Looking down at the chasing group, 30-odd riders led by Team Sky. It's becoming a bit repetitious, but there's nothing more to say. They've sat on the front. They've been here since the start of the second climb of the day. It's been a team time trial, and if there is a World Time Trial Championships, of course, at the end of the season, you'd normally expect them to win if they weren't so tired, having sat on the front of every Grand Tour there is.
Yeah, that is also a possibility. You know, it's nice to see that last year, you know, they brought the team time trial back into the World Championships, all the four trade teams, so the four professional teams. I was kind of hoping they would have brought in the old school of 100 kilometers on 4 riders, but clearly the UCI didn't feel that was right anymore. You know, it was I think it was 8-man teams and just over 50 kilometers of riding.
Yeah, but you would have just loved the fact that you could ride for that distance and your power would have held on.
Yeah, I mean, that's what was brought up doing. You know, my first sort of 10 years of riding my bike was more or less based on team time trialing, and until 94 when team time trialing was taken off the World Championships, and you know, then they brought in the individual time trial instead.
I'm going to throw another little curveball in here. A rider I've just noticed who's in this chasing group, and that is a rider from NetApp Enduro Racing, Paul Voss.
There you go.
He's made his way in here. He doesn't have to do anything. He just has to sit here, and don't be surprised if there could be a rider in the top 6 riders here who surprises everybody. But Paul Voss is a very, very strong bike rider, and he rode for Enduro Racing when they merged with NetApp to become NetApp Enduro. He was kept on as one of the riders they know is really strong. Right, we're starting to climb a little bit. 7.1 kilometers now remain, and Damiano Cunego's legs are going to start to hurt. We're going to start to climb up here to Chieti Pietragrossa, which is the top of a little climb which takes you to 284 meters above sea level. Doesn't sound like much, but then you descend down and you kick up that last climb. But this hurts. It's really steep.
Well, you're looking at the amount of meters they're climbing. You're looking at probably just over 100 meters in maybe 150 meters in a kilometer or so. That means you're looking at sort of 12 to 15%. So it's going to hurt someone, especially someone like Cunego, who's been out there all day. And this is where it's going to start to tell. And the first couple of attacks in the peloton could come here now.
Well, let's get ready then, everyone. 7 kilometers remain on today's stage. Yesterday was thrilling. Everything happened on the final climb. Damiano Cunego has come to a bit of a standstill on this little kicker, which is putting his legs in all sort of pain. Now the team car is told by the commissars, you need to come out of the gap, and suddenly, where he hit the base of that climb with just under a minute, he is going to be caught before the top. Cunego is in all sorts of difficulty now. It's been a great day in the climbs for the little Prince, the winner of the Giro d'Italia previously, a winner of Amstel Gold, winner of Liège-Bastogne-Liège, but now the lactic acid levels have reached his eyeballs and he's about to hit the red zone. The Team Sky riders are just riding him back. He looks around, he thinks, right, that's it. Day over, because now it's about the contenders. It's about which rider is going to attack, which rider takes today's stage and takes the 10-second time bonus on the climb into Chieti. Well done, Damiano Cunego. We gave you a hard time yesterday, but today, totally unwarranted. Now he's shown what a great bike rider he is. He's caught, but that form will come for the classics. These riders are now going to try and hold on as we make our way up this climb. Just notice, I think Dan Martin is in here.
Yeah, it looks like Dan Martin was sitting down there somewhere, and the pace that they're setting up this climb is absolutely ferocious.
Sergio Henao stamping on the pedals as these riders try and stay in the wheels. Dan Martin is there. A couple of riders getting dropped. Moreno Moser doesn't have it. Neither does his teammate. So Sagan is losing 2 teammates on this climb. Moser has blown a little bit. He lets the wheels go. And look at this. There is only 3 or 4 riders able to go with it. And Sagan is absolutely hanging on.
Well, he's on the limit, definitely. Chris Horner just jumping onto the back wheel of Peter Sagan in the green there. Certainly the pace is incredible going up here.
It is ferocious. Sergio Henao, followed by Iran, followed by Froome. Kwiatkowski in the blue and white jersey. As we look here back at the front, more riders towards the front. Nocentini has made it. Don't discount him as a possible winner. But Henao is stamping. Kwiatkowski looks good. Nibali looks good. Behind them is Michael Rogers. There is Mauro Vegni. He is the technical director of not just this race, but also the Giro d'Italia. I think it's Hernandez, sorry, not Rogers who is there.
It's actually Kreuziger. It's Kreuziger sitting there on the...
It is Kreuziger, you're absolutely right. Who's there? He looks good.
He's sitting on the wheel of Nibali.
Bauke Mollema, I think, is there for Blanco. But Nibali is looking good. Kreuziger looks all right. Sagan is gritting his teeth. This is hurting a lot. Chris Horner the American rider in the red, white and black of Radio Shack, but the pace is so hard up here. And Sergio Henao is just riding everyone off his wheel. Sant'Ambrogio is there. Sagan is getting dropped. Sagan can't go with the pacemaking now. And he is letting all sorts of riders go past him on this climb. Look at the pain in these riders' legs now. You can see how much this is hurting. Hernandez gets dropped. He's a great climber, and he just can't go with the pace. Peter Sagan, the winner of this stage last year, and suddenly he cracks.
Tirralongo's in trouble as well, but I can see Rodriguez is still up there from Katusha.
Dan Martin of Garmin Sharp just towards the back, but Sagan, he's done the right thing though, Magnus, hasn't he? You mentioned this a couple of days ago, yesterday I think, that he's eased off straight away and tries to now, and in fact it hasn't worked.
No, it hasn't worked. That was the pace was too hard from the bottom of the climb, and just not able to hold on to it.
It's going to be a different winner in Chieti today. Sagan has blown up totally, and now it remains Froome, Kwiatkowski, Nibali, Kreuziger, Chris Horner. Rodriguez looks really, really easy. He looks so easy. Niemiec is the rider from Lampre. Behind them is Bauke Mollema. Pozzovivo is there. Amador of Movistar. Also in this group, Dan Martin of Garmin Sharp. Wouter Poels. Over on the left is Paul Voss of NetApp Endura. And on the back is Tirralongo.
Nocentini's in there as well for AG2R. The second, the rider of the left in the AG2R colours.
Yeah, you can tell Nocentini has a tattoo on the inside of his arm that is always easy to pick out. So look in here. Rodriguez alongside Contador. 5.5 kilometres remain on another showdown.
Contador is looking good. Contador is looking very good still. Pulling a few faces, but, you know, so is everyone else.
The top of this climb, then, takes us to 284 metres above sea level. Sky are dishing out pain to the rest of this peloton. Froome still looks comfortable. He has a little look around to Kwiatkowski. Behind him on the left-hand side is one of the Astana riders, Tirralongo, trying to stay with the pacemaking. Number 201 in front of him is Wouter Poels of Vacansoleil, 136 down. Looks like he's struggling. Tirralongo now is starting to struggle. Kwiatkowski does have it today.
I was going to say, if I was Contador, I would have told Kreuziger at this point in time to just put the pressure on. Oh, here we go.
Look at this.
Bonus seconds.
Froome goes for it. And he looks across. Real gritted teeth acceleration. And Froome has got a bit of a problem now because he has got rid of Sergio Henao and he's got rid of Iran by that acceleration. And it means that Kreuziger and Contador are distancing Chris Froome from the rest of his teammates. Maybe a little bit of a mistake there. Now the acceleration of Contador. He's going to go powering his way up this climb. Nibali is unable to go with it. Remember on the finish, 10, 6 and 4. Contador just trying to give Chris Froome a little bit of pain.
I think there was an intermediate sprint there as well, so there's 3, 2 and 1 seconds on that sprint. So Contador picking up a couple of seconds. Here we go then.
They've really got this sorted, haven't they, on the intermediate sprint? We need the result, really, of this properly, because now the counter-attack happens. Look at that. Kreuziger went. Froome tries to go the motorbike a little bit too close. Froome says, I'm not having any of that, and we'll see who took the overall points. But there is one rider up the road now, and here he is.
Roman Kreuziger.
Kreuziger of Saxo Bank, trying now to make a bid for victory. It's a technical little descent here. 4.4 kilometres remain.
Just dropping straight into the town of Chieti and then going straight back up again up to the finish line.
Here's confirmation then. Contador took the sprint ahead of Nibali, ahead of Froome. Oh, look at this. You have to really bank the bike over. 4 kilometres of a thrilling showdown stage yet again. Kreuziger Now looks like he is going to be caught. The counter-attack starting to happen. One rider trying to chase across. I'm just looking to see who that is. And might be a Movistar rider, maybe Amador trying to go across. But it is a Movistar rider, and if it is Amador,
it looks like Amador.
He says to Kreuziger, come on then, let's go. We've got to get on with this. Two riders who won stages in the Giro d'Italia last year. 3.6 kilometres remain. Nocentini at the back. In front of him is Pozzovivo. Two riders moving now.
Obviously, these are two riders that Chris Froome doesn't really have to worry about. They're too far off in the general classification, so he can let them go there. And they'll then, if they actually manage to get to the top and get the first two places on the general classification, there's an awful lot of time bonus which has been taken up. So if I was in the Team Sky directors there, I would tell them just don't ride, let them go, let someone else pick up this, and you know, if they can take the time bonus is great.
Amador looking incredibly aerodynamic, isn't he? Kreuziger on his wheel, the winner of the stage, the 19th stage of the Giro d'Italia last year, to the Alpe de Pampiago after the day before when he had had a terrible day on the Stelvio. Here we go now, as he races through. Amador gets onto his wheel. We've both mentioned these two riders as possible stage victors today. Amador has got that punchy style. He could possibly win. 2.2 kilometres remain. This final climb is 1.2 kilometres to Chieti. It is narrow roads. Normally we expect to see a lot of attacks on this final climb. Last year Nibali tried it. Sagan was the winner. We also saw De Luca go on the attack last year on this final climb of the day. But here we go now. Have these two riders got enough? Will Team Sky ride it back? 10 seconds on offer on the finish, remember. All important as Sky. Magnus, they're not going with the tactics you thought. They're going to ride them down.
They're obviously confident in Chris Froome's abilities of winning the stage, and obviously that's going to be good for him against Kwiatkowski. But Kwiatkowski is looking very strong there and just following Froome's wheel all the time as well.
Sergio Henao and Rigoberto Urán, the two Colombians.
Pozzovivo's out, Moreno's out.
Moreno has had enough. Wouter Poels is all over his bike. He's had enough. Now we see the move up on the left-hand side of Saxo Bank. Niemiec, don't discount him either from the luminous pink. But look at Rodriguez, ominously on the left-hand side of the screen in the red and white. The winner of Il Lombardia last year in terrible conditions when it absolutely threw it down over the final climb. So let's just take a little look. Sant'Ambrogio is the rider in the luminous yellow. Nibali is there. Bauke Mollema is there. Contador. So is Kwiatkowski. Number 75 here is the rider from Garmin Sharp, Dan Martin, who you'd expect to see maybe do something on this final climb. So it is Horner also in there for Radio Shack. Kreuziger, Henao, Chris Froome, Sant'Ambrogio over there on the left-hand side. Alberto Contador, Rodriguez, Niemiec, Bauke Mollema, Horner in a big gear. And Kwiatkowski has to go with these moves or he will lose the jersey.
And Henao is putting the hammer down.
This is not even the major part of the climb yet. 1.5 kilometres remain. Has Froome going a little? Is he going a little bit too early? Remember last year in the Vuelta a España, but he was very tired. He tried to ride wheel to wheel with Rodriguez and Valverde on the climbs, and he just didn't have it. But this time he's a different rider. He's a rider. Now we see the attack. Joaquím Rodríguez says, right, it's time for me to go. See you later, boys.
This is what I expected Rodriguez to do. It's incredibly steep going up here, but is it too early? It's a long way to go. It's one of them where you need to pace yourself. You need to know what your capabilities are here.
Il Purito Rodriguez, the winner of Lombardia, the rider who rode so magnificently in the Vuelta a España. He's an exciting rider, particularly on this style of climb. And if Chris Froome isn't careful, he's going to have a problem, because if he rides like this and then Contador hits him with a big blow, then Froome could have some problems, but Rodriguez is just riding away from the rest of the field, looking magnificent. He's 1:16 down on the general classification. There's 10 seconds on offer. It's like the Vuelta a España all over again.
Is that Nibali that's gone there?
Looks like Nibali's cracked, but look at the crowd and Chieti. They love it. It's Sunday in Italy, and they're all out as we go over the King of the Mountains point. Here we go, Rodriguez onto this little flat section of the road, and then it really kicks up again, and it is an absolute leg breaker. 1 kilometre to go.
Good move by Rodriguez. He's looking very strong here.
Rodriguez started the day 10th overall, 1:16 down. He wants the time bonus. Now it goes quiet. All the crowd always stay in that little bit down there. And he is now going to try and time trial his way to victory. They loved him winning Lombardia at the end of last season. And with over 6 hours of racing in the mountains, Rodriguez is looking good. A chasing group here, Magnus, of Chris Froome, Contador, Horner, Sant'Ambrogio, and 2 other riders in there.
I couldn't quite see Kwiatkowski there, though.
Has Kwiatkowski cracked? Now we're into the little narrow street. Rodriguez setting himself up for a big stage victory in Tirreno-Adriatico. He looks around there. Now he's going to turn. It's going to kick up again before the finish. And then he'll hear the finish announcers as they bring him across the line. Looks like Mollema is there. Rodriguez looking very, very strong indeed. A little kick now up towards the finish line onto the rumbling cobbles. Really going to vibrate through the hands. But he's got here now goes Contador. Contador says, right, it's time for me to go. So he attacks, and he's taking one rider with him. And Froome looks like he is trying really hard to get on the wheel, but Rodriguez takes a stunning win in Chieti. After 6 hours and 6 minutes of racing, Purito takes the stage win. Behind him is going to be Mollema, then it's Contador, then Sant'Ambrogio, then Horner, then Froome. Froome loses some seconds on Contador because Contador will take a time bonus. Niemiec crosses the line now, followed by Kreuziger. Dan Martin is going to lose around about 28 seconds maybe on the line. He finishes now, and behind him is Amador, who was on the attack at the base of the climb.